A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from TQC3 and insyaAllah today we're going to present about the description and transliteration of Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Farisha binti Mohammad Noorsapawi, Roman number 782. I will start this presentation by explaining the codicological information of Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka. The British Library digitized manuscript is the repository that hold the manuscript, and the call number of this manuscript is MSS Malay 2. Next, the title of this manuscript, which is widely found in the search, is Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka, but there is also another name found for this manuscript, which is Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka. The name of the copies of this manuscript is Ahmad Karim, who is also known as Ahmad Rijaluddin. Other than that, the language of the manuscript, this manuscript used Malay for the text, but its script was written in Jawi. Lastly, the codicological information of Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka regarding the date this manuscript was written is on Wednesday, 16 October 1805.
Next, we go to the structure of manuscript. First, we look at the size of the manuscript. The size of this manuscript is 20.5 cm multiplied 14.5 cm, and there are 15 lines per page. There are 61 numbers of folio in this manuscript. The writing materials used by the manuscript was Chinese paper, text frame of double rulers line of black ink. The ink used is entirely black and then changed to a more adhesive brown black ink on page 8V until 9R and from 22V onwards, which is also used for the text frame. And the last, catchwords and its location. In the page 2V dan ada pula 3V memberi, 4V ia hampir, 5V tidak akan, 6V menjadi, 7V sambil makan, 8V pelanduk, 9V rimba dalam, 10V walhir, 11V ia duduk.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Solehah binti Sabri and my magic number is 119275, and I will continue presenting of my part, which is what type of script in this manuscript used. We use called Farisi. And then decoration and illustration. This manuscript does not contain any decoration and illustration. What is subject? Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka is about the story of animals which are part of folk literature and Malay literature.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ainatul Solehah binti Rafi, magic number 11917881. InsyaAllah, I will continue about the history of manuscript. So the manuscript of Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka, date 1219 after Hijrah, or in the year 1804, was owned by John Leyden, a Scottish poet and scholar of Oriental language. The manuscript was kept in his collection before it was acquired by the Indian Office Library in 1824. Now, this manuscript is held in the British Library and have been digitized in a composite volume with call number MSS Malay B2. Besides John Leyden collection, there are two more Malay manuscripts of the Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka in the British Library, all originating from Penang or Kedah around the year of 1805. The second copy, with the call number MSS Malay D5, is undated, but it comprised the work in a volume containing 4 different tales. And the third copy of Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka is also in a composite volume with the call number MSS Malay B10, and was copied in the year 1805 by a scribe who described himself as seorang Fakir Ahmad Keling, a humble mendicant Ahmad of South Indian origin that also can be identified as Ahmad Rijaluddin bin Hakim Lon Fakir Kandu.
I'm Dayang Mardhiah binti Abdul Karim, magic number 111784, are going to present the summary of content in Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka. Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka tells a story of a mouse deer which is Pelanduk. It is a mimic form of an epic where it deploys a cohesive set of tales to relate how mouse deer acquires authority through pretending to perform exorcism, orchestrates a truce between the clans of tigers and gods, kills the giant who has been terrifying the forest creatures, then through a series of tricks subdues the elephants, the bears, the crocodiles, and finally routs the army of monkey. This old manuscript of Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka is important for Malay studies because it presents an older version of this text and because of the peculiar circumstance under which it was copied. Next, summary on page F2V until F4R. One day, the mouse deer wanted to trick the other animals and conquer the whole jungle. He desired to make his name glorious and become distinguishable in the whole world. To do so, he planned some scenario to trick the other animals. He rolled his body on the wheat, causing his body and mustache become white like an old man. Under the foot of a mountain, he found a pongsu, which is hillside. He then named the hillside as Pongsu Jentaka. There are also most of the rock looking like emeralds and tree looking like umbrella, making the view at the hillside looks very beautiful and magical. On the next mountains where the sun rises, the mouse deer saw plains of tiger, while on the next mountains where the sun set, he saw heads of god with various types and species. The mouse deer went down the hills, planning to trick both of tigers and gods. First, he went to the heads of gods and approaching them, saying that he has made the Wadi of Allah, where the Wadi told him to ascetic wait for 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days.
Next, summary for folio 4 verso until folio 6 recto. In this page, the mouse deer told the goats that he had been taught about a prayer or dua of Raja Sulaiman, Prophet Sulaiman alaihi salam, from his teacher. He convinced the goat that his prayers are mustajab, exceeded the prayers of his teacher, and had been doing asceticism for 3 years so that he became powerful. He then stayed in a place named Pongsu Jentaka where he continued to practice his abilities. Then, he tells the goat that a few days ago a tribe from tigers have been coming to his place from the next mountain named Indrakila. He told them that the tigers want to eat the goats and need to pass through his place before reach the goat's place. However, when the tigers passed through his place, he recited the prayers that had been taught by his teacher, and undoubtedly, the tigers turning back to their place consecutively for the next 3 days. He then claimed that he has saved the goats from being eaten by the tigers. To convince the goat, the mouse deer asked the goats to come to his place Pongsu Jentaka the next day. He instructed the goats to eat fruit named lakum and lift their legs if they meet the tigers. He told them to look into the tiger's eyes, enchanting the spell he taught them when the tiger came. The goats were very astonished and believed that the mouse deer is a saint. Then they swore allegiance towards the mouse deer and promised to do as the mouse deer instruct them. After that, the mouse deer went to the tiger's clan to trick them as planned.
We continue the summary from page 6V until XR. Continue from the previous page, the Musida went to Tiger's clans and approached them. He told them that the sky is going to fall as the world is going to end and about to be dormant. He also lied the thousands of goats were about to eat the tigers, but they were stopped by him as he recited the prayer taught by his teacher. He then told the tiger the story of his assist system, just like what he told the goats before. He claimed that he saved the tiger from being eaten by the goats as his prayer are mustajab and powerful. Looking at the Musida, the tiger came astonished and confused at the same time. To convince the tiger, the Musida taught the tiger to send the cub of tiger to his place, Pongsu Jentaka, the next day so that they can inspect and confirm the story told by the Musida. The tiger agrees and sends his cub to the Pongsu the next day. As the Musida thinks, the next day the herd of goats came to his place and start eating the fruit named lakum, causing their mouth reded looking like blood. Then the cub arrived. The goats start chanting the spell that has been taught by the Musida. The Musida then recited his prayer and the goat lifted both of their legs as planned.
Turning to the summary of the content in this manuscript, that is from page F.8V until page F.10R. In this page, the cubs who were watching the scene felt very amazed by the mouse deer, yet terrified at the same times. The goats looked with the wide eyes like the mouse, with the chanting that snapped the tiger clans, scaring the shit out of the cubs. They ran away in fear and go back to their clans. The mouse deer then told the herd of goats to not worry anymore about the tiger and asked the goat to make peace with the tigers. He told them that if the tiger dare to disturb the goats, he will cast a curse on the tigers. The goats feel relief and swear to stay loyal to the mouse deer. Now, they really believe in his magic and his power. Then, the mouse deer went to the tiger clans. At that time, the cubs who were watching the scene, back in his place, told the tiger king about what has happened. The tiger was shocked and amazed after hearing the story told by the cubs.
And then this page tells that after hearing the story from the cubs, the tigers now believe that the mouse deer is truly powerful and ask for the protection for the mouse deer. The mouse deer ask the tigers to make peace with the gods and ensure the tigers that the gods will never disturb them. If they do, the mouse deer will put a curse on them. The tigers feel thankful and relief after hearing the mouse deer's words. Both of the tigers and gods agree to make a peace with each other. The next day, the mouse deer asked the tiger king and god's king to meet him at his place. Then he introduced himself as the Shah Alam in the jungle. To strengthen their faith in him, the mouse deer brings the tigers to a place full of various types of fish, while he brings the god to a field that have a lot of grass, along with a pool to them to drink water from it. Both of the animals feel joyous and grateful towards the mouse deer of the Shah Alam. The strengthening their belief on Shah Alam magics. The story of the mouse deer that orchestrates the truce between the clans of tigers and gods has spread through whole jungle, make this mouse deer become famous for his magical prayers. One day, a giant called Gerik Gempal has made a choice in the jungle. He catches and eats any animals that he meets, causing all the animals in the jungle feel terrified. Then all the animals held a meeting among them to discuss about this matter.
So this is an example of transliteration from manuscript of Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka that we have done. We can see that in its original copy, this manuscript used the classic Malay language and it was written in Jawi script. This old manuscript of Hikayat Pelanduk Jinaka is very important for Malay studies. Although its story kind like of folklore, it still contains many benefits and lessons that related with our life. Hence, this manuscript should be preserved and conserved for the next generation. I think that's all from us. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.